Okay, how do I calm down now? To sit down with Ekin and with Josh, and to welcome them to the gallery, to Toronto, and with a new body of work that we can share with you today. If you are in Toronto, it would be great if over the next 5 or 6 weeks you can make it to the gallery to see their work in person, because even though it looks beautiful, it's always more beautiful when you see anything for yourself with your own eyes. We first met Ekin and Josh back in March of 2021 when I introduced you to them and to their work. They were in their studio in Kalamazoo. So it was really a treat for me when they said that they had a new body of work that they would like to send to the gallery, but they would like to bring it to Toronto. And I think it was just an experience having to cross the border with this new body of work as well, but they managed. And I guess I didn't formally introduce them, Ekin and Josh, and welcome to Toronto. And what do you think about it here in the city?
Guys.
Yeah, it's been beautiful, you know, the city itself, and we have to say thank you so much, Sandra and Daniel, for inviting us here.
Definitely. We wanted to come and meet you guys in person, and this was such a wonderful timing to do so. And being in the city ourselves and exploring it is amazing. We already are in love with the city.
Yeah, that, you know, it's true. We haven't met before, and in most cases, there's barely an artist I represent in the gallery that I haven't met before. So it's like seeing an old friend when they come to the gallery, but COVID separated, well, more importantly, people on a personal level, but even in terms of the gallery and my business, there were certain artists whose work I began to show, but I had never met. So this was exciting, and it was really awesome, the number of people that did come out to meet them today. It was kind of shocking to all of a sudden have all these people here.
So this was your first in-person show after?
Since COVID, so it's been over 2 years since people have walked through the door. Some people wanted to hug or shake hands. That's kind of a little intimidating still, but it was great. It was really good. So I'd like to know what influences your work. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, you know, I think one of the major things that we talk about when we begin to approach the work is how much travel and experiencing different places and meeting different people and cultures kind of influences our desire to make and share ourselves and the things that we do. So it's especially wonderful to be able to be here in person as we are now traveling and doing what we love.
This was an inspiration itself to be here.
Well, that's interesting you say that, because your series and even the new series is based on cityscapes and I guess skylines. Have you seen anything in Toronto that will influence future work?
Look, very simply, our room is looking out this window to this wonderful city and the patterns and colors and skies line of the city. And you can just start from there that we wake up to the wonderful view of the city. We had plenty of time to walk around and see some of it, but we will have more. We're looking forward to do more.
Yes, you have free time tomorrow. So Ekin and Josh arrived late Thursday, and delivered the work to the gallery. And yesterday we spent the day setting up. We did have a great dinner last night, but other than that, they've been tied to the gallery yesterday and today. So they have free play for a couple of days. If anyone has any suggestions of great things they should do while they're in Toronto.
Yeah, please let us know.
You know, I was curious about the process and, you know, how you balance it with two people working on one piece. How's that balanced, and how are you influenced by each other?
Well, you know, it's a really good question. And I think the way that we work collaboratively really helps us progress the sculpture as a whole. We start from the very beginning with conversation, and we design with thoughts about color.
Idea, concept,
Yeah,
all the details we know ahead of time, but very generally. And we don't work piece by piece. We generally work in bunches of pieces. So there's in the same series too, we have few pieces in progress. So when it comes to hands-on time, we both share time on the same piece. So if he's doing something on it for one step, I take it over next, and I complete it until the next step, and he takes it back, and it goes until the end.
Yeah.
So we both do everything. We both are glass blowers. We both are cold workers and designers and all of the properties or skills of making. But there is a time we both share the steps.
yeah. So each piece really becomes a conversation between us, and again, we're able, because we have that external person or body, to either push each other further or rein someone in, like, find that happy medium and really make wonderful
really
objects. Yeah.
So, you know what would be interesting, even though we have met before, it's a year ago, and some of the people who are on the Zoom today didn't attend that Zoom a year ago. Could you tell us a little bit about your background and maybe how that led you to each other? So who would like to start? Who wants to go first?
Yeah. So I kind of did my early undergrad training in printmaking and graphic design, which I think really translates to a lot of the pattern work and stuff that we're doing now. But eventually I did find my way into a glass studio. And like so many people probably have said across Zooms for the last 2 years, is once I saw that studio, I was like a moth to the flame and couldn't stay away.
Wow.
So starting in grad school, I worked for the school there, and we ended up in the Czech Republic during the International Glass Symposium in, I think, 2012. And that's where I ended up meeting Ekin for the very first time.
I did my undergrad on sculpture in one of the schools in Istanbul, Turkey. And after that, I was looking into continuing my career in fine arts, but I did not have solid idea of what I wanted to do. And I started working at Glass Furnace in Istanbul.
Yes.
So this place is wonderful, full of glass, and they invite these amazing artists to do residencies, classes and stuff. So I started working there, and I started seeing this amazing material being turned into wonderful art. And that actually changed my mind about what I wanted to do. And I wanted to focus on glass and use it in my art. So I went to Czech Republic and started studying there in Novi Bor, learned how to actually, from zero, I wanted to learn how to blow glass. And they are wonderful at cold working too, so I wanted to learn that also. And in my time, in my education, I was attending to this symposium where Josh, with his professor, was there. So we met during the symposium. We had a lot to talk about. We just exchanged numbers and stayed in touch over the next year. And then we met in Istanbul for the second time. That's also to do glass. So after that time, I was looking at master's programs in the States, which he already was attending to one of them, and convinced me to come.
Yeah, somehow convinced her to come to Texas.
That was an easy ask.
Yeah.
Was it?
It was
If
an
I knew
interesting
better.
time. No, there was a lot to gain there, and I think we both grew personally, and that's the place where we really started to work together and build our working relationship. We didn't quite collaborate, but that was kind of where we found our rhythm as far as how to communicate and work together to accomplish the stuff that we're after in our art.
Glass blowing itself, the technique that you can, there is wonderful people that can make it by themselves, but in the nature of what we are making, you cannot make it by yourself. So naturally we were bounded just by making things with this material, and it was just an easy accomplishment to just add more to it, and we were sharing our ideas, and it just naturally happened. One day we had this idea, oh, we can actually work on these new series, how about this?
Yeah, and that conversation really spurred us to work together.
Well, it's a very collaborative art form to begin with.
Sure.
So when it's collaborative, you're working together and loving together, what kind of a challenge is that?
It's a daily challenge. I mean, it is a challenge. It's a lot of time together.
Yeah.
We
There's
work,
really good days.
yeah, we play and live. So, you know, finding the balance, it's a process, and always, you know, there's room for improvement or you know, things to grab and hold on to. And
I feel like we're learning about each other much faster than you would if you were working separately in your own fields.
Right.
But it's a good thing. It comes with challenges, and you'll grow.
yeah,
What's it been like for you leaving your family in Turkey?
Left my hometown when I was 17 and started traveling and studying in big city, and it was a slow but early start transformation out of my family. And when I was trying to move out of Turkey, I was focused on what I wanted to do in my life. Of course, it came with challenges like leaving my family behind, but I'm lucky enough now that I can go back to visit them and enjoy, or they can come and see me here. And I have family now more here through Josh.
Well, it was interesting. You told me, just on a personal note, Josh, that your mother was at your house in Kalamazoo looking after your dogs, bringing her 2 dogs and your 2 dogs.
Yeah.
So that's a house full.
Yeah,
It's
we don't need
house
kids. We don't.
well, it's house full.
You might
We're
change
not
your
there.
mind. You know, when I look at your work, I really see the Turkish influence. Maybe tell me a bit about that.
Well, how would you?
Well, I think in general, the focus on pattern from the Eastern or Asian world is really incredible, mathematical. So the pattern is a really strong thing, and something that I think Ekin and I both gravitate to. And then I think Turkey in general has their own sort of specific style of pattern and color that really informs the work and what we're interested in presenting.
It's very deep. When you start looking at patterns, it just, you start researching the history of it, and it keeps going deeper and deeper. So we had to channel our interest, and that led us making series of pieces that focuses on different styles and eras and times. So there are pieces that are focusing completely on Turkish authentic or Oriental patterns, and there are other ones that are a little bit more modern and completely different side of pattern.
Yeah.
So I noticed that on some of the pieces you use a lot of gold contrast, but not on others. What is the difference in that work? Like,
well, I think that series, it's a very limited series, and that one it's probably among the most personal sort of statements that we've made with the work. So those were heavily influenced. I think the limited series is called Hagia Sophia, which is taken after the Hagia Sophia, which is it began as a church in Constantinople, and as the Ottoman, I guess they were Ottomans, took over Constantinople, conquered, they changed it to a mosque, and then it's now a historical site. But it's the idea, and I think Istanbul itself is a symbol of the sort of East meets West kind of amalgamation of different cultures. So this idea of Eastern philosophy, religion, and Western ideas and even religion or thought, like all kind of melding together.
Mhm.
And that really stands as a metaphor for the way that both we work and both our backgrounds. So it's something that was a really personal statement for us to make. I think the work itself turned out extremely beautiful.
I can see that.
We will show the pieces very shortly. And
Exactly.
that will make
And you
more
can talk
sense.
about that, and point that out. I noticed that because it is what I thought when I saw the pieces with the gold, which I think are quite exquisite, as are the others, but they were much more formal, and there was that Byzantine.
Definitely, yeah, very much so.
So I've asked you a lot of questions. Is there something you'd like to talk about, either one of you, about yourselves or about your work that people who are with us today might enjoy knowing?
Well, I want to say how special it's been to be here in the gallery with both Daniel and yourself, and seeing the works in person. So if you are able to come in and visit them in person, there's something definitely about glass and sculpture that you can't quite capture as well on screen. So it's been really special for us as well to exhibit in person and be here with the work.
It's very
So
special.
we're very excited and happy to share this with you and everyone out there.
I'm sure that everyone who's watching is happy to be here, especially on a rainy day. It's good to see where someone can stay at home, not have to come into the gallery. And of course, we're all kind of inching out to a new normalcy. Okay, well, I think it might be a good idea if I let the two of you take a walk around the gallery and show your work, and feel free to talk about whatever you'd like to and point out to make the work really interesting to
And if
everyone.
anybody watching have questions,
Yes.
please feel free to write us while we're walking around. We will love to answer.
I'm actually going to move to my computer, so I'll be able to see any questions. So as Ekin said, if you have any, we can ask them as they're walking around looking at the work.
Sure.
Okay, great.
All right. So we're kind of walking through the gallery. Make sure that if you can't hear us, let us know so we know to readjust our position and we get in the microphone. But here we have 3 pieces from the Palio Sophia limited series that we were just speaking about. And you can see a really nice detail of some of the pattern work, some of the Islamic geometric pattern work involved in making the series. And in the gallery, the beautiful lighting helps that gold leaf really sing, and it makes quite a contrast to the sort of lightness of the glass. It really makes a physical line around these pieces that is quite kind of catching and exciting.
So I would like to say, I'm in my office now and I'm looking at the pieces. They look beautiful, but of course it's never quite the same when you see it on the camera. The gold in the pattern just really is so crisp and really jumps out. They're beautiful, beautiful pieces.
Yeah, and you know the idea was to use really nice subtle color shifts. There's a lot of cane work on the surface patterns, but really again subtle color differences and shifts that are then highlighted and contrasted by that really bright gold, which again is kind of influenced by the Christian kind of iconography painting, as well as the gilded pattern work in Islamic artwork.
Someone is asking, and I'm sorry, I'm in my office now, and for some reason this mouse isn't working to ask questions. Marianne had a question, and I'm not able, I'm having a little technical issue. I can't open the questions. So bear with me and perhaps it will work shortly. Okay, I think we'll have to go on. I'm not able to access these questions. I'm sorry.
So Marianne would like to know,
Oh, I'm glad.
how do you form your patterns? Are they done with molds or cold working?
Yeah, so all the pattern work, and we'll see a lot of different patterns as we go through the show. They are stenciled with a rubber resist, and we sandblast. So we build layers of color throughout each piece, and the very surface layer we mask and then cut through with a sandblasting technique to sort of reveal the colors and everything else that's underneath, hidden by the surface.
Okay, and I figured out what happened here. I'm not using my computer, but Daniel's, and it doesn't. Now, Judy Arrowwood has a question.
Yeah.
Judy would like to know, can you stand beside a piece or two? She'd like to, I guess, get a sense of the scale.
Yeah, they are, this one is 14 by 14 and slightly bigger going down the shelf. We have a few different different scales of pieces in the show.
Yeah.
These are one of the middle sizes.
Yeah, they range from about 12 inches kind of diameter. We measure in diameter because they all start as circular discs. 12 inches to about 16 is the largest one that we have in the gallery today. And we can move on as long as there's no more questions on that series.
Sure.
And the other series another series that we're sort of highlighting today is our transparency series.
We are working to highlight the glass being transparent. So using how see-through the glass can be, and the patterns and the two different sides being able to see while you're walking around the piece. And that highlights our conversation as a couple, as a collaborative couple, that you can actually see it in the piece.
Well, I think the two sides also communicate with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So they interact through the light passing through each side and showing.
That, and we can achieve it with transparency.
Absolutely.
Yeah, properties. We have a few pieces out of this series.
I love this piece.
This is, we wanted to have this shown now because this reminds me personally of spring.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Seedling. So we're in the days of the spring.
And I think as we were setting up, this is one of the pieces that got set down and was immediately just illuminated.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't really have to do too much to change it. It was just absorb the light.
Detail is incredible in that. It's just very beautiful.
So we have another piece in the same series.
Yeah, this is called Epiphany. This has a really nice subtle red and leaning more towards contrast. So we've got that red contrasted against the blue, which is a direction we're really pushing for. And I think one thing that's sort of that you can see throughout all of the transparency series is the colors aren't too far away from each other. So this was what we were working on most of 2021. And the more we got comfortable, the more kind of contrast we started building into the work, which then will lead us into the newest series that we're so excited to share with you guys today.
So where did the concept come for you to, the way you've cut the piece away? You've obviously blown it. It's been blown in layers. And then at what point do you cut away the piece before you do the engraving? I guess you cut away the sides first.
Mm-hmm. So after the piece is done in the hot shop, we take it to our cold shop and start working on this edges. So we have this bubble, and we start cutting with diamond saw to deconstruct the bubble. And so once the edges are all designed and detailed and they're done, we start working on the surface work. So that's the order generally. Once the surface work is done, we sandblasted, revealed, we get to see what's underneath in the glass, in the bubble and outside the bubble. We finish it out.
Yeah, and I think we were also really influenced by, I guess, the Czech approach to glass, a very Czech aesthetic, where I guess you can do anything with glass, really free and not so rigidized in your approach to the material. And so when we had our bubbles, we had a concept, an idea that we want to make these sort of cityscapes. Well, we can take it to the saw and really destroy the bubble. It's a real deconstruction process.
We use the equipment like nobody does. Nobody will advise you to do, in a way. But because there's no limits, and we just feel the freedom because we learn from the best, and we look, we explore what we can do, what else can we do, and we, that kind of makes these sculptures unique, because it's scary to push a thin piece of glass into that giant equipment.
Yeah,
It really is taking a lot of risk, but
it is. But I think that's how it makes us very unique forms. We say cityscapes, but they can be mandalas. They're very universal sort of form.
a form that's moving and spinning, and you can see a lot.
Absolutely.
Maybe we can look at going down line. We have another piece that is in the Hagia Sophia series. It fits to this beautiful piano nicely.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites. Dan, I wonder if you can get the mic a little bit closer. Okay, tell us a little bit about this piece. It also has some gold, doesn't it? But not the same as the other
This
piece.
is in the Hagia Sophia series also. Again, another lighter color. We have white inside the piece and white cane work, and we cut through similar to the others on the surface. There's some Islamic patterning on the surfaces and gilt edging on the sides to contour the piece.
Yeah, and again, we're working with a really subtle color shift on this one. We go from a nice like alabaster white all the way over into a clear in this bottom left-hand corner. And so the different whites stand out and really sort of sing, I guess, on that transparent corner. And again, the gold leaf really makes this hard, even graphic line that defines this piece so well.
These pieces do look much different in different lights too. It was incredible to play with the lighting when we were setting these up. And yes, they depends on where you put them. They light different and look different. They get more transparent or opaque with different colors. And you can see the shadow.
Beautiful from the back as well. When you're doing the engraving, do you do one piece at a time, or are you working on more than one piece?
The sandblasting.
Well, I think all the process.
All the process. We always work in, there's always different works and different process levels. So we never take one piece and finish it completely to move on to the next one. We start cutting with the diamond saw, maybe 2 pieces at a time, and then those 2 pieces go to the next level. And then that gives us time to do different stages in different times of day too. So we take the piece and cut it with the saw, and define the edges, and then that gets tiring. We move to the next piece while it's sitting on our clean table, and we work on the pattern designing. And when it's time to move to the sandblasting, we always have a piece that is ready to go to sandblasting.
And it really allows us to think through each object, you know, and to give it what we feel like it needs to really highlight whether it's the colors that we've used or the pattern that we've chosen. So by working in mini, we're not kind of pushing through and finishing. Oh, got to finish this one before I work on the next one. We're giving each object the time it needs to become, to really become what it needs or become what it
is
supposed to be. Yeah.
supposed to be. Yeah. All right. And we can look at what's down the line. We have been working on these new pieces since last summer. We did a residency in North Carolina Startworks. So we were very lucky to be there in their hot shop for a month. We made these blanks while we were there, and we took them to our glass studio cold shop in our hometown, Kalamazoo, Michigan, to finish them. So since then, we have been working on these pieces. They are slightly different than transparency that we were working before. They're opaque colors. They are focused on contrast of the colors. We have different technique adding the colors to the pieces too. We wanted to create these different colors using the commercials colors that you can buy. So we twisted, added on top of each other, and the goal was to make new colors. So you will see after this piece and any that we will show you in the show, they have layers of layers that shows different colors. So this one has a couple of green mixtures underneath, and we have this beautiful robin's egg blue in the middle, and that gives us this unique purple on the surface.
We have a question from Mary Ellen, and she would like to know, how do you envision the front versus the back of your art? Do you know in the beginning how the two pieces will be, or does it actually evolve?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't consider any of these works to have a back or a front, technically. There are things that we love in the round. So each side has its either unique flavor or, again, is sort of a riff, a play on what we've done on the other side. So again, it's a play as we're working through the process together, whether one person does one side and the other person takes that idea and moves it to a new stage or another play. And I think with this series in particular, we had this idea and we made a lot of blanks at one time where we were focused on a high saturation of color and big contrast. And then now, as we've been working through them and finishing them, we've had a real big sense of play with ourselves and with the objects. So a lot of freedom to kind of explore and make some really exciting and fun progressions in the series.
I like the pieces like this where they're totally open on one side. That's pretty interesting as well.
Yeah, we definitely
almost off balanced.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
a lot of the pieces do follow a really nice circle. So one of the movements or ways that we've played with this piece in particular has been to take away, to deconstruct and remove that circular
Symmetry.
plane. Yeah, the symmetry.
Like symmetry is a thing you can accomplish, and it can be very successful. But when you have a piece that is on purpose asymmetrical, is definitely a thing to play with. It's exciting. It makes it exciting. We do have some pieces that are more symmetrical, and this one is particularly was created to be different.
That's a favorite of mine, actually. Going back to Mary Ellen's question, do you actually somehow draw the pattern out ahead of time, or is it more as you're working through the piece? Do you just have a concept and it's freehand?
Well, we do both. Depending on what color combination that we have. Sometimes one of us has an idea, or we've seen a pattern that's influenced us, and we think that's going to really help the piece. Yeah, so a lot of the really tight geometric patterns come about that way, but also when we draw the cities out, those are all done directly on the piece as we're kind of working through it. And I think we've really developed our kind of language and style through that.
Yeah, we have some patterns that we are influenced specifically from certain areas, and we take them, we redesign them, redraw them, and then computerize them so we can transfer them onto our tape that goes onto the glass, and we cut them by hand, freestyle, and then relieve some of the parts that we choose to, and then sandblast. So the pattern is a big step in our technique, but also it's one of the languages that we use to communicate and each other and throughout the series.
Yeah, the coloring in this piece seems to be really unique, different from the other pieces.
Yeah, this one, again, we were dealing with mixing a lot of colors, and sometimes when you mix glass colors, they react against each other. And this one was one of those really,
Lucky ones.
exciting reactions where you get so much from these colors interacting. You get the blue and gold and amber.
Becomes completely its own unique color combination that it's makes it very special.
Well, it makes it come alive, I think, as you work or experience it in space. It changes as you move through it, and that's something that really invites viewers into the piece.
Whoops.
All right. Did we look at our friend?
Beautiful.
This is one of the pieces in the same time we made in North Carolina and finished it recently. It is one of the exciting ones also. It's very saddle blue inside and white underneath the cobalt blue.
This piece is a very, very deco looking to me, actually, the pattern.
Yeah, I think Art Deco period was something that has inspired a lot of the patterns in the series, and I think it kind of spoke to us in those patterns and colors. Not just the high contrast and the very fluid, dynamic patterns, but that sort of time period was really the I guess beginning of when we started building modern cities. And for us making cityscapes, it was something that we really had fun kind of playing with and addressing with this body of work.
We have two more in the same series that I would like to share with you. In the similar manners, we are using color contrast and patterning from Art Deco era. They are inspired. Everybody does see different things in these pieces, and that's wonderful. This pattern especially we were looking at fabric patterns of that era, and we are playing with the texture here a lot too. You can see in the pattern there's shiny and not shiny matte surfaces even in the dark color like we are normally doing throughout the piece, but it makes it really move and come alive when you walk around it.
Yeah, the colors are beautiful. The patterns are so dynamic.
Thank you for wonderful questions. It helps us to talk about
This
the
your
show.
last piece?
Yes.
Yeah, this is sort of the last piece of our tour. And definitely would like to open it up if anybody has any more questions. We'd be happy to answer.
Okay. Are there any other questions? I think I've asked the questions that I've seen so far. If anyone else has a question now, I'd love to have Ekin and Josh answer it. It's here today and gone tomorrow. So it doesn't seem like we have, oh, there is another question. Daniel, if you're able to see the question, that would be great. I know there's a question there, but I'm using someone else's computer and I'm not able to reach it. Dan, can you reach that question? There's two questions.
Yes. So where do you go from here with this imagery?
That's a good question. There is a lot more that we are excited to explore. It gives us more chance to do more. Look forward to.
Yeah, you know, I think that's one of the things we've talked about a lot today is, you know, in these objects and these bodies of works, we have so many ideas that we want to explore, but sort of tying ourselves down and fleshing out each piece. So I think as far as pattern goes, it's fairly limitless. You know, we really want to continue to explore how the pattern influences.
You're excited for it.
Yeah, each piece and what we can do as far as building up the, I guess, dynamic nature of each sculpture.
Definitely explore different techniques too. That will open more doors, but
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah, those are in our back pocket.
And
I
think
think
there
that
might
was
be-
the last.
last question?
I think that was the last question that I see.
Nice.
Okay, well, I still have lots of questions, but
Yeah.
I'll save them until we're together later on. Yes, Diane's asking if this recording will be available, and it will be available. And we have visited their studio once before, but you never know what the future will bring. We might decide to visit it again. So I want to thank you all for joining us today. And thank you. It's great for us to have an exhibition in the gallery. If you're in Toronto, please come and see it because it's pretty accessible. And even though the pieces look beautiful, of course, in person, they're pretty outstanding and we'd love to share them with you. So thank you all very much for being here and we will see you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you all for
Okay.
joining us.
Okay. Goodbye. Talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Okay. Take care. Bye. You didn't